Pennsylvania is the most amazing state. Well, maybe not. Let's go over all the things that you need to know before you make the move here to Pennsylvania, starting with the weather. Pennsylvania experiences all 4 seasons, with some days feeling like you're experiencing multiple seasons all in the same day. Besides the pleasant spring and fall seasons, we can experience humid, sticky summers and bone-chilling winters. If you're not used to the East Coast humidity, some summer days can feel like you're stuck in a hairdryer full of hot air and moisture. Pennsylvania's summers range from 70 to 90 degrees. On days during the summer when the humidity is very high, it's likely that you'll sweat just doing the very basic things like walking the dog. Pennsylvania winters can sometimes be pretty harsh, with snowfall averaging right around 38 inches a year, surpassing the national average by 10 inches. Some winters will receive multiple feet of snow, and other years, such as the past 3 years, we really haven't had much snow at all. The temperature typically hovers around 33 degrees in the winter, but this varies with temperatures ranging from in the teens to the 50s or 60s on some lucky days. If you're planning to make the move here, please be very careful when you're driving during your first winter here in PA. Driving in the snow and even sometimes driving on the ice can be very tricky and definitely takes a couple of seasons to get used to it. The next thing that we have to talk about is the cost of living here in Pennsylvania. When I have clients who contact me to help them find a home here in PA, they often tell me that along with other things, Pennsylvania cost of living was one of the major things that attracted them to PA. If the cost of living for the entire country is a basis of 100, the Pennsylvania cost of living scored at 94.6, 5.4% lower than the national average. According to bestplaces.net, let's take a look at some of the cost of living categories broken down all throughout the state. Starting with the cost of groceries score in PA is 100.3 and the health score of 101.1. Both of those are slightly over the national average, and we'll talk more about healthcare in Pennsylvania later on in the video. When it comes to the housing score, Pennsylvania is pretty drastically below the national average, coming in at a rating of 80.5. Utilities scored at 98.2, transportation at 104, and miscellaneous at 101.5. Overall, Pennsylvania is either slightly right above the national average or right below it. The average sales price of a home in Pennsylvania is $255,570, and it went up 5% over the last year. Pennsylvania's average home sale price is around $92,000 more affordable than the US average of $347,716. And the Pennsylvania homes rose by a value of 1.4% more than the national average. Keep in mind that these are both just averages. Of course, depending on where within Pennsylvania you end up moving to, that can drastically change the average price of a home in that area. So I'd highly recommend to reach out to a realtor such as myself to get more specific numbers on the average cost of a home in the area that you're thinking of moving to. So Pennsylvania might be great if you want to lower your cost of living, but what's the point of lowering your cost of living if there's nothing to do here? So let's go over some of the recreation that you'll have here in Pennsylvania. I was born and raised here in Pennsylvania, so one of my favorite things about the state is having all different types of outdoor activities all throughout the year. Having all 4 seasons is what makes it so special, because not only can you enjoy water sports like fishing, boating, and swimming in the summer, but in the winter you can enjoy a whole different set of outdoor activities such as tubing, ice skating, skiing, snowboarding, snowmobiling, etc. Another great thing about the recreation in PA is that you might think when it comes to around the winter time, most people will just stop going outside. They'll shelter in for a couple months until it starts to get warm. And for the most part, that's not really the truth at all. You would expect that, but truthfully, most Pennsylvania residents don't really let the weather stop them from doing what they love. You'll still see people going for walks, hikes, bike rides, etc., all during the winter as well. When it comes to taxes, Pennsylvania definitely isn't one of the most heavily taxed states, but in some categories, it's definitely not the best either. Let's go over some of the tax categories in Pennsylvania so you know them and can compare them to your current state. Starting with the average property tax throughout the state of Pennsylvania, which is 1.36% of the assessed value. If you're retired, Pennsylvania does not tax retirement accounts such as Social Security, pensions, and distributions from retirement accounts such as 401ks, IRAs, etc. The statewide sales tax in PA is 6%, except for Allegheny County, which is 1% local tax, so for a total of 7%, and unless you're in Philadelphia, which has a local tax of 2% for a total of 8% sales tax in those areas alone. There are also a good amount of things that are sales tax exempt in Pennsylvania, such as most clothing, school textbooks, computer services, pharmaceutical drugs, food that isn't ready to eat, candy, and residential heating fuels such as electric, gas, oil, and firewood. Now for the income tax, which is one of the most desirable things about Pennsylvania. Our state here is known to be a flat rate income tax state, meaning that no matter how much a resident in Pennsylvania makes, everyone is taxed at the same 3.07% tax rate, as opposed to most other states that have different tax brackets depending on how much you make. If you'll be moving to Pennsylvania with your kids, or if you're planning on eventually having kids once you live here in PA, let's go over the school district ratings for the overall state of Pennsylvania. According to wallethub.com, we can see that Pennsylvania is ranked the 24th for the best public schools in the country. School districts are very hyper local though, so depending on where you plan to move to within Pennsylvania, I highly recommend to do some further research about the school districts in that specific area. Although Pennsylvania is ranked the 24th best state for public schools, the 10th best school district in the entire country is located right here in the Philadelphia metro area. Besides public schools, Pennsylvania is also home to some of the best colleges and universities in the entire country. For example, we have the University of Pennsylvania, which is an Ivy League school, along with Penn State, Carnegie Mellon, the Wharton School of Business, and that's just to name a few. The next thing that you have to know before making the move to Pennsylvania is about the Pennsylvania healthcare system. According to US News, Pennsylvania was ranked the 10th best state in the country for overall healthcare. These ratings were based on healthcare access, the quality of the healthcare, and the overall public's health. Pennsylvania, and more specifically the Philadelphia metro area, is known to have some of the best healthcare in the country because 1 in 6 doctors throughout the entire country was trained right here in the Philadelphia area. Out of over 4,500 total hospitals that were evaluated, 26 hospitals in Pennsylvania were rated as some of the nation's best. If you're in the healthcare field, or it's just very important for you to live close to some of the best healthcare in the country, Pennsylvania might be a great option for you. Another thing that you need to know about before making the move here to PA is the allergies. Pennsylvania is full of lush greenery for the most part all throughout the year, which is beautiful. But the downside of that is that it can cause some pretty bad seasonal allergies. Pennsylvania constantly ranks among the worst states for allergies. Keep in mind that just because you might have allergies in the state that you live in now doesn't mean that you could have allergies here in Pennsylvania, and also vice versa. So I would highly recommend to come and take a visit to Pennsylvania, and more specifically the area that you're planning on moving to see if and how the allergies affect you in that area. So is Pennsylvania right for you? If so, I specialize in helping people just like you make the move to Pennsylvania and find their perfect home. All of my contact information is below, and I'll see you over on this video where we talk about the major mistakes that some home buyers make when buying a home here in PA.